So, Farmer Dave, tell us the backstory of this cool mobile greenhouse behind you.
Well, first, I want to give a shout out to Jay Todia for asking the question about how did we come up with this gadget gizmo, Hoopty as we call it, Hoopty house. So thanks, Jay, for that. A little bit about the backstory as far as how we came up with this. Well, I got to give credit to Beasley Orchard on the west side of Indy. I was there on a farm visit and noticed they were using a wagon as a much like we have here. They just draped some 6 mil greenhouse plastic over it and were basically hardening off their seedlings for the planting season. And I thought that was a fantastic idea. So
What
that's
does hardening off mean?
basically once you've germinated the seed to where it sprouts up through the soil just a little bit, and it's grown to, some sizes are an inch, 2 inches, 3 inches. What you want to do with hardening off is to help them transition from a greenhouse, pretty sterile environment to a more outside environment where they're exposed to different levels of temperature, maybe some wind, to really help them to harden up a little bit and get ready for the plant outdoors.
Okay, cool. So, tell us, how did you build this thing?
One of the things on the farm here that we really try to do is to try to utilize what we already have instead of buying new things. And one of the benefits of already building a couple of greenhouses, well, we had extra supplies available. So you can see we've got extra plastic that was completely left over from 2 builds. In this case, we were able to use 1 full sheet. The rope that we actually tie it down with to keep it from flying away was also from a greenhouse build. So we used those 2 things, and we couldn't really do a build here on the farm without cattle panel. I mean, I think we built so many things and utilized cattle panel for lots of different things other than just fence, and this is one of those. So it took 3 16-foot sections of that to build it, and then the rest of the fasteners and the wood was scraps we had left over. And again, really trying to use what we have and not create more expense, and just get creative and use what we have.
Okay, so tell us why. Why did we build this mobile hoopty?
One of the things we encounter here a lot on the farm is wind. And one of the biggest things that we need with this type of setup is protection. So one of the advantages we have is that it's mobile and we can move it around the property as we can, and really to be able to avoid that terrible wind, which you wouldn't believe how crazy windy it gets. We get 20-mile-an-hour winds on a regular basis, plus gusts. So that's a biggie, is mobility and avoid that wind. The other is it gives us an opportunity to extend our season, and really extend the season outside of the house versus inside of the house. So the last couple of years we've done our seed starting inside, and that's very challenging inside your house with the amount of volume we're dealing with now. So this allows us to start earlier, start it outside the house, which is a good thing, to help extend our season.
Okay, Dave, so give us a tour around the mobile greenhouse.
First thing I'd like to point out is what you're looking at, and that is the temperature. So 95 degrees is a great temperature to be growing new starts with. And being early to mid-April here, this is fantastic temperature. You can see some tomatoes in the background. They love this heat. Lettuce, maybe not so much, but that's okay for now. And as we scroll around, you're gonna see a variety of different things. We have lights in here that we hook up at night. We also have heat mats that help us get that ideal temperature for germination and seed starting. We also have some plastic hoods that we put over as well to create a really humid environment, which is also conducive for growing these seedlings and germinating. So right now we've been in here probably 2 minutes, and I can tell you it is very warm, very warm. Great for this environment, not so good for us. So we're at the time of year we're watering and checking these plants for water every day is critical. We do use a technique that is maybe different for some, maybe not for others, but we really focus on watering from the bottom. So a good example is we just lift the plants up, and you can see they're a little bit dry in there. They were watered this morning. We just actually pour water in the bottom, and what that does is it helps the plant focus on growing downward, and that really translates well once you get out into the garden, because those roots are used to growing straight down. And that's a whole nother topic about how we plant things in our garden with the methodology we use, but really growing downward is a critical factor in this process.